Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Watch Lookout, where I'm always on the lookout for the next watch in my collection. And today, I've got another person with me looking out for watches. It's my good friend Peter, my bandmate, I would say former colleague, and all around pretty good guy, mostly. And today we're gonna do a Pagani Design, one of two parts. We've got 6 Pagani Design watches between the two of us, and today we're gonna profile 3 of them that are all the same model. And then I'm gonna do a part 2 video, maybe later today or tomorrow, of the other 3 Pagani Designs, which are all share similar design, but one with a slightly different function. A quick wristwatch check reveals that I am wearing my Tactical Frog. It's not really in focus, is it? My Tactical Frog 62 Moss solar chronograph. Why is that not in focus? Peter, what do you got there?
And I've got the Bowderry Sea Turtle Ocean and Titanium, which was given to me as a wedding present by Mr. Watch Lookout.
Yeah, I mean, I really like my Tactical Frog. I just realized, again, I haven't taped over that red light. It's the bane of my existence, that red light. It's like I'm living in a red light district.
Aha!
See what I did there? Anyway, so yeah, I really love this watch. This would be a daily wear watch for me if it weren't for the fact that I had an ongoing, out-of-control watch addiction and 33 watches with the 34 watch on its way. And I managed to convince this guy to get the exact same watch that I'm getting, albeit with a different dial. So
and
that'll...
different shipping company.
And yeah, and so, you know, that'll be exciting. So let's get right to it. I'm going to turn the camera around here and get into our case of magic. Hold on, let me do this quickly so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I probably won't do that anymore, singing. But today we're going to profile these Pagani Design. Those 3 on the end we will not profile in part 1. That'll be part 2. These 3. But today we're going to profile these 3 Pagani Design PD-1701, and in this case 1701A and 1701A in rose gold, both of these. And this one is the 1701 AK project. It's an homage to the Omega Speedmaster AK project. Some call it the Mission to Mars because of the Swatch Omega mashup of last year that was so popular. Alright, now let's turn the camera around and we'll get started with this thing here. I guess this is where I would normally have music, but I haven't written any music for my station, and oh, this is a terrible view because of everything in the background there. I should have thought about that when I turned this camera around today. As you can see, my computer there with my notes. Anyway, okay, let's try to do this anyhow. We'll take the Pellas off there, and we'll stack them up nice and pretty. We'll flank the silver with the gold on either side. Alright, so this is probably, I would say, the best homage watch that Pagani Design makes, principally because they're so popular, but also because they're so well made. The bracelets are great, the specs are pretty good, and they are somewhat faithful homages with their own sort of unique little variations or differences. You know, I first purchased this PD-1701 as sort of an act of rebellion against the Swatch Omega mashup, because this watch is superior to that Swatch Omega watch in every single way. It's better materials, it's got a better VK63 Seiko movement in it, it has a better dial coloration, it's a mecha quartz, so it's not this hacking chronograph hand, it is a 5 ticks per second chronograph hand. This featured a sapphire crystal and a sapphire bezel insert. So I couldn't go wrong with that. And of course, stainless steel with a 5-link bracelet. That is not a 3-link, that's a 5-link bracelet. Each piece is independent and separately articulated, and those two pieces, the narrow pieces that flank the middle link, are high polished. So it's a great little touch. It's a fairly decent clasp that is milled in the lower, and then it's a stamped clasp upper with the twin push button release. It's got the silly little artwork on the back of a space shuttle with its main fuel tank, which it would never have in space. That's deployed while it's still in the troposphere, I should think. And so that's an interesting little thing. But this is a great watch. As I said, better than the Swatch Omega mashup in every way. We're going to get into the specs now. Each of these watches are the same model and also using the same VK63 movement, which is to say that these are no-date movements. They do offer this in a VK67, which has a date window at the 3 o'clock position. And this is Peter's 1701A with the green dial. We had to go through a little bit of trouble to get this watch. I had to do a bunch of hunting and searching. And even today, if you go onto Pagani Design's websites, you cannot find this watch even there. It's missing. So I think they have 12 different variations of this PD 1701. However, this one is not featured on their website. So we do have the same case back for all three of these models. And let's go through and do some specs now. So I'm having to hold the camera with one hand because I don't like the way it's all set up. So yeah, these are PD 1701s. Two of these are in rose gold, and they are basically 40 millimeter case diameters, right? With 13 millimeter case height. Just to give you you see the way that bezel is there, it does increase the height somewhat significantly. They do feature domed sapphire crystals that rise above the bezel ever so slightly, kind of hard to see there. And they have 20 millimeter lug width. So that's obviously friendly for NATO straps, which all of these watches came with NATO straps that Pagani Design puts in all their boxes. And the lug to lug is roughly in the neighborhood of 48 millimeters, so that's quite friendly for smaller wrists. And these are female end links on these bracelets, so that means that it comes down immediately from the edge of the case, so it doesn't really add any real significant, length to the lug-to-lug width there. And sapphire crystals. Now these two rose gold models do feature ceramic bezel inserts. They are fixed bezels as they are tachymeter scales. This is really nice execution. It has the effect between Peter's 1701A and my 1701A, even though they're both exactly the same dimensions, because his bezel is fairly closely color matched to the dial, it makes his watch just look bigger. It just looks bigger. And that's because mine is framed with this black bezel insert. I mean, I love mine. Like, this Panda is just out of control beautiful. And I very, very seldom wear it, principally because I just want to maintain the condition of this IP treatment or whatever it was that allowed them to put the gold on the stainless steel. These feature about 2 to 3 year battery life. That assumes you use the chronograph function every day. Let's go ahead and look and see what these chronographs are doing. You want to go ahead and start one of yours, and I'll start all these, and we'll just watch them do their magic. seems like when I lowered the frame rate of my video content that it also affects the focus. It's really weird. First time I did the video at 50 frames, the focus was amazing for macro shots. Like I did macro shots of this watch right here, up close like this, and it looked amazing, and I haven't been able to duplicate that since. Although that doesn't look bad right there. You can see here on this dial, let me take the shadow away, it is sort of a metallic flake, sort of a creamy white. I mean, it's just really nice. And there's concentric rings there with each subdial. I should talk about the subdials. So on each of these watches, the 3 o'clock position features a 24-hour subdial. People hate that. I'm totally indifferent to it. I think it's nice, particularly if you had a date variation of this particular watch model. You'd like the 24-hour indicator at 3 o'clock because it lets you know how close or far away you are from the date flipping over. At the 6 o'clock, you have the small seconds that would ordinarily be ticking away throughout the day, as it is right now, even though the chronograph is functioning. So the large seconds is the chronograph sweep, and the 6 o'clock is the small seconds that runs all the time. And there at the 9 o'clock, you have a 60-minute counter. So this basically only gives you a chronograph function for 1 hour of time, and then it sort of resets to 0. But you know, 60 minutes of chronograph is not too bad for a watch that is, generally speaking, less than $100 from day to day. I guess Peter's was a little bit more, but I think he bought that on eBay, and it was from a private seller who had already bought it, and it was basically brand new. They do feature 100 meters of water resistance, so that's pretty nice. They're all 316 stainless steel, if I hadn't made that clear. And yeah, at least 12 different versions of this. I guess that sort of conforms with what Omega and Swatch did, because they had one version for each of the planets, one for the moon and one for the sun. So I guess that puts us in the neighborhood of 12 different watches. It's really a great watch for not a big price. And, you know, this bracelet is probably the best Pagani bracelet that there is, at least insofar as the 6 Pagani designs that I've come in contact with. In fact, one of the Paganis I bought didn't even come with a bracelet. It came with a nylon Velcro strap, but that'll be in part 2 of our video. I swapped that strap out because it was too small for me. So, Peter, what's your impression of the watch? You want to slip it on your wrist, or?
Sure.
I'm going to go ahead and do a wrist shot as well. Move this camera a little bit clunky today, guys. Sorry for that. Video quality is an ongoing process. I guess I'll put it on my opposite hand. It's a beautiful watch. Every time I put the watch on, it really, I mean, what's the outfit I'm going to wear? Because it really is really nicely done. And I mean, you could wear basically any outfit with this. It's true, but I feel like it should be a special outfit or something all black. You know, something that complements the beautiful color of the watch. Let's see what you got going on, Peter. Yeah, so your green, obviously our gold is both the same. Your green is quite dark. It's a beautiful color green.
It's kind of like what you said with the face of it, how it makes it look like it's a lot bigger than what it actually is. Like sometimes it'll just be sitting there on the mantelpiece in its box.
Yeah.
And when you look at it from a distance, it kind of catches your eyes like, oh, that's kind of, you know, it looks so sporty, but, you know, also quite... you know, you can wear it with a suit, no problem, which is what I normally do.
Do you have any problems with legibility? Because,
No.
like, while I love that color green, my maturing eyes, like, have a hard time. Like, even through this, looking at it right now, I'm like, gee, what time is it? It's like you really do have to do a wrist roll just to catch the light off of the hands There's a little bit of glare. Now these watches do feature some anti-reflective coating on the underside. I'm not sure how many layers, and I think they probably used a clear anti-reflective coating because there's no like telltale blue sign. So you don't have any problem with
No, I
legibility.
don't. Like it's
Yeah.
and the few times I've worn it, say to lessons or to meetings, it's definitely an eye catcher because it really is a good homage to the Speedmaster.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now, go ahead. I'm just going to hit these with some UV light, and we'll turn off that light there if you want to reach over
Sure.
and turn that off. I mean, these are Pagani Design, so it's not really worth carrying this into the bathroom because there's so little lume on it, and Pagani Design has such a poor reputation for lume. You see there, so we have what appears, it comes off as a blue lume on the hands and a green lume on the markers, on the indices. It's very weak. It's something you only see for the first few seconds in the dark. It would probably look cool in the club that has UV lighting, but you really wouldn't be able to see too much of anything, to be perfectly honest with you.
But for the price, having this kind of on your wrist, like for people who might not know about watches, Joe, it just looks like a great watch just to have on you.
Now I do notice one thing on the stainless, on this version of the PD 1701, there is actually there's more lume on the indices. You see that? There's a long bar there. You can see that in the video here. Whereas they're just little dots on the gold versions. This one has proper lume on each indice of at least like 4 millimeters, probably something like that in length. So there's a little bit more lume here. I mean, at the end of the day, these watches are not really meant to be looked at night. They're basically meant to be looked at and admired during the day. Yeah, you see there's the contrast. That's something I didn't really notice until now, comparing the two watches, is that here they're just little dots, and then on this one, proper lines. All right, so yeah, I mean, I enjoy these watches. I don't wear them all too often. I think I will have 12 chronographs now, as I've just ordered a new watch that's a chronograph. I couldn't help myself. So I don't wear my chronographs all that often. I think principally because they're all quartz, and I have all these automatic watches, and so I wear them with frequency just to sort of keep them running. But it's certainly a handsome watch. There's no doubt about that. All my chronographs are pretty handsome. I just never have an excuse to really wear them all that much. I think if I had far fewer watches in my collection, these watches would definitely get more wear. But of course, not the gold one. That would still be a special watch, you know. All right, I guess that's pretty much all we have to say.
Okay, I'm going home. Goodbye.
Cheers, everybody.